Hello and welcome to the Can't Believe podcast, sponsored by NordVPN. I can't hear myself, so great start to the podcast live on YouTube. Hopefully, Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you loud and clear. Sorry, I had to wind you up.
Okay, all right. Little peek behind the curtain. I'm at my parents again, which means I'm holding my microphone like a weirdo. I can normally hear myself, but I can't. And this is normally blue and it's red, so I'm a little bit concerned. I sound okay, first of all, before we do a whole podcast and ruin it. I sound normal.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds a little bit tinny, if I'm being honest, but I don't want to stress you out. Are you winding me up now? I can't hear you now. What are you doing? Dan, we've lost you completely, mate. You were fine a minute ago. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah. Should we do this? Should we save this off air next time?
Is this not my Mac webcam crap, though? Crap audio? It's not this, is it?
I don't know.
Good stuff, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I don't know what's going on. Do you just want to talk for a bit and I'll try and sort myself out?
Yeah, I can do. What do you want me to do? Just talk about my thoughts?
Yes, please, yeah.
All right, okay. You put me under pressure now. See what kind of professional I am. Yes, Aston Villa 0, Manchester United 0. I was going to ask you this question, Dan, but you won't be able to answer me, so maybe the audience can. I can't remember the last 0-0. Did we get a 0-0 away at Everton last year? Just nod. Just shrugging your shoulders. It's going to be great for the audio version. Yeah, I think it was very much after the Lord's Mayor show, wasn't it? I just don't think there's any energy left, and that's my little concern, I think, really, for Villa in Europe this year. In the Conference League, I think we got enough to play midweek and then probably go again with largely the same team. I don't think you can do that in the Champions League, certainly when you're chasing the ball like we were for lots of the game against Bayern Munich. So I think I was saying to my lad when we were coming out the ground that if you'd have said to me 4 or 5 years ago that we'd have beaten Bayern Munich on a Wednesday and drawn 0-0 with Manchester United at Villa Park on the Sunday, I'd have been. I'm trying to concentrate, Dan, but your face is putting me off. Don't worry, I can fill. It's been one of them days anyway. I'm sure our Clout and Blue viewers and listeners would have probably wished they wouldn't have bothered anyway and listened to songs of praise instead. But yeah, saying to my lad after the as we walked away from the ground that I think sometimes, as much as we should be probably rolling over teams like United who are, living off past glories and not, and probably, oh, he's gone back. He's come back in. You're back.
I'm back now. I think this is working properly. Is that better?
It's blue.
It's blue now, yeah. Is that working good now? Does it sound better than before?
Yeah, but the listeners and viewers, they don't want you anymore, Dan. They just want to hear me just rattle on in my monotone monologue for the next 20 minutes. No, rescue me. You're back. What do you want to know?
I'm back. Let's just pretend the first 4 minutes, by the way. Apologies to those watching on YouTube. What a shambles. We try and deliver the podcast in the best way that we can. I'm doing it with my parents. Let's just try and get it done quickly. You're on a deadline. I bought all my proper stuff for me and nothing works. So hopefully I've finished the problem now. And for the audio version, you won't even know what's going on. Let's talk about Aston Villa 0, Man United 0. That's the scoreline. I don't know if you've covered that yet. I'm a little bit more happy and upbeat now than I was about 20 minutes ago because of this fiasco. So hopefully this is entertaining for everybody else as well. Overall, kind of your thoughts on the game. Initially, before the game, I was very much like, if we don't beat them, I'll be like livid because they're rubbish. They're a mid-table side, but there's this kind of weird Aston Villa versus Manchester United curse that apart from Emery's first game, we have a terrible record against them, as everybody knows. Most people have grown up kind of disliking Manchester United for various different reasons. So to beat them is, a big deal. And there's just something about Man United, if you had that exact same team almost, but rebadged them and made them play in a different kit and they were just a different club, you go, oh, we should be beating these. Like, there shouldn't be any fear whatsoever. But because it's Man United, there's just something there. And there's a clear disparity in quality between the two sides. We are 100% better than them everywhere across the pitch. and still somehow we just find a way to not perform, or they perform out of their skins. It's just a really weird fixture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably a question for Villa Stato rather than me and you being able to answer. But I just wonder. So we've played them 5 times now, I think, under Emery, and only beat them once.
Yeah.
I think outside of we beat Man City once and played them less times. So I'm sure we beat Arsenal, home and away last year. So I don't know what it is about them. I just think that given the way that we did look jaded and we did look leggy, and then we've lost Ezri Konsa and our injury list is growing, I think we've probably got to stick that point in the bag and take it as a decent point, even though we were playing against inferior opponents. So yeah, I mean, like with a farce at the end. I mean, I know we've had a farce at the start of our podcast. The last time I saw a technical issue like this was the referee trying to have his blood pressure taken, and then trying to get his armbands on, and then trying to get his bra fastened, or whatever was going on in those last few minutes. But like my son was saying, "Oh, they've got to add more minutes. Got to add more minutes." I'm like, "Well, listen, I don't think we're going to score today anyway. So if they do add too many more minutes, they'll probably end up United will probably going to sneak one at the other end." So as disappointing as it is, and as wonderful as Wednesday night was, I think sometimes we just take a little bit of a reality check, and we didn't lose the game. I think it probably would have looked like a much better point if we'd have won last week at Ipswich, but this is going to be the massive challenge for us. How do we compete at the top of our game, twice a week, fairly regularly this season? And that's massively difficult when you've got, Jacob Ramsey in that team. You're different. You probably go on and win the game. And, John McGinn in that team. I know it's all ifs and buts. John McGinn in that team, you probably got more energy to win the game. And Leon Bailey playing anything like and having anything like the level of fitness and you do. And Morgan Rogers was off it a little bit today as well. So I think we bank the point. We do a stock take of our fit players over the next fortnight, and then we go again next time out, I think.
Yeah, obviously, Emery will never make excuses about the referee or injuries or whatever, but we're fans. We're allowed to do that, and we will do that where necessary. The injury problem is difficult, isn't it? I don't want to say we're down to the bare bones, because we're not, but the bench is significantly weaker than it has been in recent weeks, with Buendia, Duran and Maatsen probably being the only three that you look at to change the game. Obviously Duran comes on today and doesn't score his mandatory winning goal, which is a shame. Maatsen looked all right and looked bright in his little cameo as well, I suppose. But there's a lot of youngsters on that bench where Villa are without an honour as well, who we haven't mentioned yet. Bailey not quite fit still, I don't think. Ramsey unavailable completely. Cash was back, which is a positive, but then the Villa curse strikes that you get one and you take one away, and as Konsa goes down in the first 10 minutes or so. Diego Carlos obviously played well on Wednesday night and played all right, to be fair, when he came on as well. I've not got too many real problems with that. But it's kind of one hand gives, one hand takes, isn't it, with Villa? And if that Konsa one is a serious one, which it didn't look like it, but you never quite know with these things, even if he's missing for, I don't know, obviously with the international breaks, that's a little bit of a blessing. But if he misses 4 to 6 weeks, that's a massive blow, isn't it? That's a lot of games.
Yeah, it's weird, the Konsa one. It's I don't know why I keep getting all these bowling analogies, but when that last pin just wobbles, the way he fell down, did you see him? He got back up onto his feet, and then he just kind of went, woo!
Just thought, I'm not having this. He knew he'd done something. He knew he looked visibly like, I'm going to have to come off here. Like he knew he's done something bad enough for that. So what it is, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, you got to... I've just... Actually, you might want to Google it. Have you got access to... Because John's just put out some quotes.
I think so.
I think John's just put out some quotes about Emery talking about Konsa. So have a quick read of them, and I'll fill again. I'm becoming Phil again. Isn't he our new star? Yeah, I mean, you got to trust Konsa to obviously know his own body, so he knows it's not one of those that can be run off. So it's really frustrating and disappointing, because, like you say, Cash comes back. We actually think that we've probably got the back four that we kind of want to be starting with for now. And it was just frustrating, but a bit like Bayern the other day, these are, honestly, I'm not saying that opponents shouldn't try and be competitive against us, but a few people leaving the boot in on our little darlings at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, I know. It's I want to say it's a shame, but it's professional football. It's a contact sport, and these things happen. But you're right to call them our little darlings. It does feel like well, personal, doesn't it? Like, how dare they leave a footing on our
Yeah,
players, our
we
perfect little
need to
players?
listen. We're Aston Villa. We're going places. We need to be fit. So can you just tone it down a little bit with our little cherubs?
John's quotes, or Emery's quotes that John has posted on the Ezri Konsa injury are as ambiguous as you would expect from Emery at this stage. He says, I don't know. Hopefully it's not a lot. Hopefully he can rest in the international break. We can have some days off, brackets, in the international break, and can recover our energy and try to push in the next month. I would think, and I would guess, and this, I'm not, as you know, Matt, I'm not a medically trained man. He might miss a couple of games, maybe, which will be a blow, but isn't as serious as it could be, obviously.
Yeah, well, thank you for John and for Emery for absolutely clearing that up anyway. I'm none the wiser. I could have guessed that myself. But yeah, it's like I say, the international break, it's always that big debate. And does it come as a good time or a bad time? I think when you've got several players carrying knocks, the time without them playing competitive football during a season when they're going to be playing lots of it is a blessing, I think. So, yeah, I hope Konsa's not too bad.
Yeah, I also feel like we need a bit of a reset, which probably sounds weird to say after like the euphoric nature of Wednesday night and Bayern Munich, which in itself it kind of lives in its own little world, doesn't it? That one night, it's kind of like parcel it away. It was brilliant. It was in a different competition, obviously, so it's different. But we've had back-to-back draws in the Premier League to, let's face it, bottom half opposition, which is what Man United are these days as well. And that kind of we're just stuttering a little bit, aren't we? We're a car that's kind of struggling to get going a little bit. We had a great start, which, as expected, we beat teams that you thought we would beat. Ipswich was whatever. Obviously, we've spoken about it. Then you have the high of Bayern Munich, and then back down to a 0-0 with Man United at Villa Park, which does feel flat. Does feel that Villa weren't on it either. It wasn't that Man United were brilliant and stopped us. We were just. We'll talk about some of the specifics in a sec. We just didn't get going, and it just feels like we maybe just need a bit of time to go, right, okay, that was a hectic kind of 5 or 6 weeks. Where are we at? How do we go again for the next kind of, 4 or 5 games until the next international break?
Yeah, I love the idea of Bayern Munich being in its own little world. It's almost like a little snow globe that you get down and shake. Oh, that's pretty, isn't it?
That was good. Anyway,
have a little look at it every now and then. Yeah, I think sometimes we forget that these opposition teams as well who want to win these football matches, so we can't always have it our own way. And I think we've been given a reminder of that in 2 different circumstances at Ipswich last week and United today. And people in the comments are rightly saying, well, how often do Man United come and play for a point at Villa Park, and how often are we the favourites in that match? So, I know it's probably us trying to put a brave face on potentially what we thought is 2 points drop, because we probably thought we should have won that game today before we went into it. But if anything epitomises the turnaround and the transformation we've had since Emery's first game, when we did beat Man United and we did end that hoodoo for 1 game only, then it's the fact that we've gone into that game and we are disappointed with the draw at home to Man United, where many of the previous seasons we would have been very, very pleased with that. So I think it's because we know that we need to beat the teams we should be expected to beat. We should be expected to probably go to win at newly promoted Ipswich. We probably should be expected to beat down on their luck. Yeah. Altogether not very good Manchester United at Villa Park. I get the frustration, because I think these tight margins, if we want to try and really make a play to finish in that top 4 again, so those 4 points dropped, if you like, in the last 2 Premier League games, if ultimately they're the difference between us finishing 4th or 5th or whatever, then it is frustrating. But given the injuries that we've got, given the week that we've had in terms of the highs of Bayern Munich, I don't think I can be that disappointed. It just felt, I've seen some other post-match quotes from Emery saying the draw was a fair result, and I think it probably was, to be honest. I don't think either the sides really did enough to win it.
Yeah, I think both sides were pretty rubbish, to be honest, and kind of cancelled each other out. Obviously, Martinez has made a couple of decent saves, and Fernandes hit the bar from that free kick, and we've not really done that much apart from that Philogene chance at the end. So, you kind of level that out and say, one half played well, one half we didn't, and we have a draw. How much stock do you kind of put on performances and results based on the ones that happened last season, which is a terrible way to phrase that, but kind of like assessing how you did against a certain opposition last year versus the next one? So obviously we lost both games to Man United last year, and this time we've drawn the first one, so we're already up on the games versus Manchester United. but we beat Arsenal twice last year and we lost this year, so we're actually down overall. Do you care about any of that, kind of looking where the points came last year compared to this?
Not massively on any other week, because Man United is such a bogey team to us that we are to Bayern Munich, that it's I'm trying to take that little bit of progress in there, because there are games where Fernandes would have got that another inch lower, and it would have necessarily wouldn't, because Martinez would have saved it if he'd come another inch lower. But you know what I mean? There's games where they would have got that edge over us in those tight moments. So it is 1 point better off than last year against United. But I've come into this season thinking we probably should be 6 points better off than we were against United last year, because they're not very good. They're a faded force, and I wouldn't swap. I saw you go back on Twitter to somebody who'd I think they were saying, was it Maguire and I don't think it was Evans, was it? It was Maguire and somebody else would trump Torres and Konza.
Yeah, it was like somebody had done a combined 11
in any of those positions.
Somebody had replied to it saying like Konsa and Powell wouldn't displace Martinez and Maguire, I think it was, or Martinez and De Ligt, and it's like, I think they would. I'm pretty sure most of our players would start from this Manchester United team.
Yeah, I think it's probably a dubious source, but haven't United been linked with trying to buy Pau Torres or come in with a bid for Torres?
Before us. Yeah,
I think we'd be probably stronger all across the park, to be honest. Although we haven't necessarily proved it today.
Yeah. Tom says, as a couple of others have, we weren't very swashbuckling today, were we, Matt?
No, there wasn't any. There wasn't much. Sorry, I'm slurping. There wasn't much swash and there wasn't much buckle. It's been replaced by a massive slurp, I'm afraid, today. Yeah, it was. It was frustrating for me. I mean, if we're talking about the chances that we have, obviously there's the Morgan Rogers one early on that hits the side net in, and people in the North Stand.
What the North Stand thought was in, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't want to knock the North Stand and their eyesight, because I've got a question for the North Stand because of my eyesight. Who was with Schmeichel at that end? A bald fella looked a bit Voldemort. Was it Jaap Stam or?
It was Freddie Ljungberg.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's a bit random. What was he doing there?
I don't know what TV production it was. It obviously wasn't Sky or English TV, so I don't know where those guys have popped up on. The only connection I could think of, and as soon as I said this to somebody else in the stadium, I doubted myself immediately on my football knowledge or my nationality knowledge and said, well, he's Dutch. Is he?
He's Swedish for a start, so that...
Is he? I thought I was wrong with that. As soon as I said it, I was like, I've committed to that now, and I'm not 100% sure I was. So I was thinking, oh, well, he's gone out there to give the Ten Hag view. Like, he's Dutch, but he's not.
Maybe he was bold. Maybe he was there to give the Ten Hag view because he was bold.
That's it, yeah.
Well, that makes sense now, because Martinez went over to him. Martinez would have known him at Arsenal now, because Martinez went over and said hello to him at the end. So I was thinking, why is Martinez saying hello to Jaap Stam? So anyway, we can forgive the North Stand for the side net rippling down the other end and them thinking it was a goal if we don't even know what nationality Freddie Ljungberg is, and we think that he looks like Jaap Stam. So
we can forgive them for their eyesight.
In glory there.
We can forgive them for their eyesight. I saw who it was and confirmed who it was and still got it wrong. Good. Right. Where have I got that? Freddie Ljungberg feels very Dutch to me. Feels like a Dutch name. Did he play in the Dutch league?
No matter how much you double down with it, he's not going to change his nationality to suit you. He's not going to come out as Dutch today, just so you don't look as much as an idiot. He had a fight with Melberg, I think, on international duty once.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you reckon
won that? Melberg was playing for Holland.
Oh, God. This bloody podcast. Anyway. You know what's mad? I said that to one person in the side of the stadium with 40,000. I thought, that was probably wrong. Then I've come on this to, I don't know, a couple of thousand people and said it in front of them and still got it wrong. Should have checked it before. That was
politeness. Did they not put one person not say what you're going on about, Dan?
No, he just kind of went, oh, yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, so there's a chance where Morgan Rogers has hit the side net in. He didn't, North Stand, it didn't go in. And there's the one when Tielemans has whipped it straight from the cutback from the corner, which I think is a good strike, but I actually think Onana's done one for the cameras there. I think.
That's a great save from Onana. He should definitely be all over that.
Yeah, and then there was the one at the end, wasn't there, when Philogene just had that one blocked. Where, if I'm being picky, you probably should have slotted it bottom left corner, but I'm not sure you have that much. I'm not sure you quite have that view and that much time when you're in the moment. Did we have anything other than that?
Not particularly. I just don't think we really made enough. We didn't. Nobody looked like their usual swashbuckling selves, which is which is a shame. I think the second half was an improvement pretty much across the board from most of our players, that we seemed to kind of switch on a little bit, kind of turn it on a bit, which is, you know, kind of as you would expect. But the first half overall was pretty poor from everybody. I don't want to kind of be seen to be digging out a couple of individuals, but just a couple that spring to mind. Was Morgan Rogers, I thought throughout was pretty poor. His first touch wasn't there really. His final decision or his final pass was rarely the right one, and kind of messed up a couple of things. He's not looked his usual self at all, which is, you know, it's going to happen. He's a young player, absolutely no problems with him whatsoever. He could come back in the Fulham game and score a brace, and we're all going, oh yeah, of course, Morgan Rogers a brilliant player, but he wasn't on it today at all. And I know he's been the golden boy, or one of the golden boys of the season so far, but I thought Tielemans in the first half as well pretty much did everything wrong.
I don't know. I take your point on Rodgers. I thought he was going to start like a kind of house on fire, because I think he got Eriksen booked, didn't he? Or Eriksen got himself booked in the first kind of 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, you've got the beating of that midfield. Let's keep doing it. I think, to United's credit, I think they blocked a lot of the channels into Morgan Rogers in the first half. Hear a lot about their non-existent midfield, but they stopped our threat. They stopped Rogers getting the ball on the half turn as much as we'd have liked. I think it was probably a little bit of fatigue. You know, the lads allowed that, I think, given what he must have been through emotionally and physically in the last, I don't know, 9 months, 10 months. I thought Watkins was a little bit off it. And I thought Tielemans was all right, to be honest. I think that I thought Tielemans got better second half. I still think he's a fabulous footballer. I think some of the things that he does are brilliant. But yeah, it was, you know, do you want to come to Nord Man of the match, or have you scrapped that?
I mean, I was thinking I'll just scrap it, but go on then, let's do it if I can find the right button.
Sponsored by NordVPN, it's the Man of the Match award, and I will accept 2 choices if you cannot narrow it down to 1.
I was thinking about this on the way back, by the way. I'm going to get someone else to do a different graphic for that. That's crap, isn't it? I threw that together one. It's rubbish. I hate it. Go on, carry on.
I love the fact that it's the graphic and not your voiceover that's the worst part about that in your mind.
Come on. It's the best bit.
I haven't got one. No, I can't think. No. I thought Torres played quite well, to be honest. Not that he was his swashbuckling self, but I thought he was decent. Martinez made a couple of saves. Cash didn't do much wrong.
I thought Cash was pretty good, yeah, considering it was his first game back. Did he play the full 90 as well?
Say that again?
Did he play the full 90, Cash?
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we give it Cash? He gave the ball away. Yeah, he gave the ball away, didn't he, early in the first half and scared us. But I think mostly, considering he's been out for so long, I thought he did okay. I thought Carlos did okay as well, to be honest. But let's give it Cash for the sake of just getting it out of the way.
So a little burp there, mid analysis.
I don't think so, was it?
I think you stifled it. Is what I would say visually.
Judge me by your lack of manners, my friend. If I've got a burp, I'll do it properly, and I'll burp the alphabet while I'm doing it. I'll burp the man of the match next week for you.
I'll hold you to that. Although we don't play next week, but I'll remember that. See if you can do it.
We'll just have 30 seconds for that next Saturday night.
Right, let's oh God, let's try and wrap up this podcast then. It's a 0-0. I think we all expected that we'd hope. Well, I think most expected we probably would win or could win. So it feels a little bit like a damp squib, especially after the heights of Wednesday. And a lot of people come up to me, by the way, and say like how good the podcast was on Wednesday night, which is obviously nice to hear. Didn't mention anything about the Man United preview, so that can't have been very good. But obviously, it's not going to compare to the kind of highs of that. And I don't want to waffle on forever and ever over a game that has ultimately finished 0-0. Overall, a kind of feeling of disappointment because I did predict us to win, and I thought we should win. You know, they are. I think they're 14th now after Forest got a point against Chelsea, which, to be fair, again is a decent result that Chelsea have dropped points as well. Because I do think they're a threat to the top six, whereas I don't think Man United are. I don't know what the Brighton Tottenham score is at the moment. I saw someone before say Brighton were winning, but I don't know whether that's true or not. So if that's the case,
was it 2-2? I don't know.
If that is the case, again, that's a good result. Spurs are a threat to the top six and Brighton aren't. So ultimately this weekend, you know, obviously Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool have won, but I would expect them to be the top three anyway. So if this week kind of goes, yes, we've dropped points against Man United, if you like, but we haven't kind of lost any ground in the league overall, I think we just have to kind of go, look, we didn't play well. We weren't our usual swashbuckling selves, and we'd get the point, and that's that. We have the international break. We get a couple of players back. Then we've got a mini period, I think, of Fulham, Bologna, somebody else in the league, and Palace in the Cup in October. If you can get kind of 3 wins out of 4 there, or 4 wins, we just kind of go, yeah, okay, Man United was a bit meh, but we've come back and we're our usual selves again. I feel like swashbuckling is now a thing that I have to say all the time.
Yeah, I take your point that we haven't lost ground to those below us. We've lost ground in the title race, to be fair. You know, those above us, if we want to try and cling to their coattails. But one thing I wanted to speak about was, how did Rashford not get sent off?
Oh yeah, I've forgotten about that. Yeah, this is something we spoke about. We spoke about this recently. I don't know whether it was on the podcast or whether it was
Kane, wasn't it? Was it around Kane and not getting booked?
I can't remember. I said to you, I think maybe off air in the office, something about like how many times you see somebody who's on a yellow and then they do another foul later in the game that in isolation would be a yellow on its own, but because they've already been booked, that's never given as a second, or very rarely given as a second yellow. If you saw that second Rashford challenge without any prior knowledge of anything else during the game, everyone would say yellow card. The fact that that's the kind of one that should be the second and should be a sending off, which would be a stupid sending off, both fouls, very silly. Why is that not given? And you know when a player's gotten away with it when they're substituted off minutes later, don't you? That's always kind of the telltale structure of how that story goes.
Yeah, I think Ten Hag thought we'll get you out of harm's way there. Although Rashford probably could have been taken off anyway by virtue of the fact that he didn't do much. I suppose he's extended Martinez to make a couple of saves. I'll tell you what else I found amusing. Did you see I think it was Tielemans and Luca Dean, or is it Digne? He's pronounced. He's cleared it up himself, hasn't he? It's Digne. I think they did the pronunciations before one of those little videos before the start of the season. Anyway, our left back, Tielemans. The latest from the Austin McPhee school of theatrical free kicks.
Yeah.
Reminding me of, probably a bit before your time, Dan. Have you ever seen like a madness tribute act, or madness themselves, and all the fans do that little kind of dance when you go back and forward like on one leg? And I don't know whether you've seen it. You probably need to come out with me to a scar night. It was like what? Done it once, okay, that's fine. But it was 4 times, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we did it against Bayern as well, didn't we?
A nice little reverse ball into Leon Bailey on the back of it, but it was it's a bit OTT for me, that was.
Yeah, we've tried that one either against Bayern or Ipswich, and nothing came of it then either. And he felt like, okay, that's what, like when you do it once, then you don't see it again for ages. The fact we've seen it again so soon and it was rubbish the first time. Not sure what the aim for that was really. Brighton are 3-2 up now against Spurs, by the way. So that will end up being a decent result. It's 20 minutes to go, so we'll see what happens with that. We won't still be here in 20 minutes, so who knows?
My son and his mate were excited, teenage idiots that they are, because before the game they saw Angry Ginge, and they had the photograph taken with Angry Ginge, and I was like, well, that fella looks nothing like Nicky Butt. So
that doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah,
one for the kids there. Do you know Angry Ginge, don't you?
Yeah, big mates with Angry Ginge.
Anyway,
whatever.
They've had the photos taken with Angry Ginge anyway. Can I do a couple of shout outs before we bugger off?
You can. Can I just ask you what your thoughts on Prize Where It Lies was first?
I didn't see. I went for a wee.
Did you not? Should I tell you what happened?
Didn't Emi Buendia? I heard the story of it. Emi Buendia helped one onto the old grid, didn't he?
Yeah, the first kid got it, or whoever it was, first person got it, and they won a £50 voucher in the club shop. And a few of us joked around where we were that he'll be able to buy half of a shirt with that.
That's it. Last season's socks.
Yeah. And then the second one got very close, and Emi Buendia was just going out for his warm up, and he rolled it on. And I think it's Ross Morris was like, "Oh, Emi Buendia's helped you win," and it's like, "Whoa, okay, all right, fair play." And then the third guy, they did theirs. I think the third one was a kid actually, and that was pretty close as well. And then like one of the people who bring the big banner thing out to put on the pitch, he like backheeled it on, and everyone was like, "Oh!" And then Ross Morris was like, "Oh, I'll have to look at the T's and C's. I don't know whether that one counts or not." So yeah, potentially 3 winners, or maybe only 1. Who knows?
You can just see Emi Buendia and the staff members sit on the naughty step now while Chris Heck's telling them off, saying, "Listen, that's
You've
coming
cost
out
us a
your
solid
wages,
shirt."
sunshine."
Yeah, good.
Yeah, a couple of quick shout outs. There's a fella called Bob Parker, a nice fella who was part near me actually. He's a good Parker as well.
Good.
So he's Halesowin native, but has now crossed the border into Stourbridge. So he's a fan of the show. So big shout out to Bob. And I need to give a special shout out to Wayne, Wayne T on Twitter, the Witten Warrior, who, when I moaned on Wednesday night and then again on my Villa voice notes that I hadn't been able to get a program from Wednesday night, he's given me this program.
Nice.
Collector's item, so he didn't want any money for it, which is win-win. So Wayne's a big fan of the show as well. Tamworth lad, and yeah, so superstar. I'm getting some. I've got my bag over there.
Yeah,
that was a freebie. I've had my program this year. I'm telling you, mate, it's
what am I getting?
Starting to become quite lucrative. This is.
Is it? I wish it would get lucrative from a pay rise perspective.
Oh, don't start. We'll yeah, you got a different line manager now, mate. So you can have audio. You don't need to keep. You ended the last episode with a beg.
For likes and comments. Yeah, that actually worked, by the way. There was a lot more than usual, so keep that coming. That's
yeah. Well, this
really
one
helpful.
won't. This pay rise one won't. So.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, the same with the podcast, to be honest. I mean, who's watching this for a 0-0 draw with Man United? It's not quite 1-0 Bayern Munich, is it?
No.
The final thing I will end on very quickly for those, only because it's come up in the comments a couple of times, for those that are watching anyway, that it's like Anton Deck being on the wrong side. I'm on the right side of the screen and not the left, which I'm normally on the left because I always think like the host first, so I ask the questions and then guest on the other side. You're the guest. The reason is I've got all my proper stuff that is working now. I've got my actual camera here. So I'd have to look here to look into the camera, but my laptop is here. So I'm like looking at you really. So I want it to feel like kind of a conversation rather than stare down the camera like a weirdo. So I'm looking like right. So I thought it would look weird if I was on the other side, which it kind of is because I'm now looking like off the screen. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, you now look a bit like distracted now, or look a bit like you're going to go cross-eyed or something. Hey, I
so
had a shave, by the way. Look.
Have you? I mean, have you ever got a beard anyway? You normally look like that?
I normally have a bit of stubble, don't I? But it's taking years off me. This is actually. I don't think I'm going to get served. I'll go and have a drink after football tonight. I'm like a little baby, aren't I? I'm like
you know what you should do?
Baby.
You should do Movember. Now you've shaved it off. Just grow a tash instead.
Yeah, but then you have to groom it, don't you, in the right places? I would like one of them big twiddly ones, like that you have to like wax and stuff like that. But it'd just be too. I look like I'm rolling a massive spliff here. I'm not. I'm twiddling my imaginary moustache. So
let's not.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done. Before we say something silly. All right, thanks everyone for watching or listening to this episode of the Climb Loop podcast. I will address the camera now because I'm speaking to the audience rather than to you, Matt. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Climb Loop podcast. This feels really weird, so I'm going to stop doing it. Matt, thank you for joining me. I'll be back with John Townley for a Q&A episode. I think that might be Tuesday. International break now, isn't it? So kind of need to spread the content out a little bit. Matt, you and I filmed an episode last week for next week upcoming as well, so that'll be available as well. I've said a couple of times we're kind of taking our foot off the gas a little bit. We're not going to post 4 or 5 episodes during the international break week because we don't want to do stuff for the sake of it. You know, let's all chill out from Villa a little bit. Right, Matt, thanks to you as always. Thanks to my parents for allowing me to film at their house, and we'll see you Monday or Tuesday.
Hey, wait! I wanted to read. I know you've done your big outro. I wanted to read. We had a message from Fletch, Darren Fletcher, yes. our TNT Sports mate. So I thanked him for coming on the podcast the other week, and he's messaged saying, "Amazing, mate. It was a privilege to be there." I think he meant the Bayern match rather than the podcast. But
I'll just talking about the podcast.
A few fans stopped me on the way into Villa Park to say they enjoyed it. Let me know if I can help you in the future. So what I'm thinking of doing, Dan, I'm thinking of sacking you off and getting Fletch to do it in future. Is that all right?
Will he have a working microphone? Probably will, won't he? You'd have
He
thought
probably
so.
will, yeah. Probably need to give him your pay rise as well, I think, to afford him. But so yeah, just he was brilliant on the pod the other week, and we're going to try and get him on in future, further in Villa's Champions League journey. So yeah, good bloke.
Yeah, lovely stuff. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.